302 degrees south, 147 and 47 degrees east. This is in the Bismarck Sea north of Papua New Guinea. And what I'm about to tell you guys is fascinating because this is a mystery that nobody knew was happening. So something very strange may still be happening in the middle of the ocean north of Papua New Guinea. A mysterious ash cloud has appeared over the Bismarck Sea. So what is that ash cloud? Was there something burning, or are we talking volcano? But in the Bismarck Sea. But the strange part is the following. It does not appear to be coming from one of Papua New Guinea's famous island volcanoes that are nearby. Not Manam, not Karovar, not one of the obvious volcanoes that people already watch. So hi, my dear volcano freaks. This is a very interesting story for you. So let's dive into this. The suspected source is sitting out in open water in the central Bismarck Sea. It's basically above a barely known submarine volcanic field. Submarine volcano. Did we have an eruption there? So, and if this really is a submarine eruption, then it may mean that an underwater volcano just broke through. And it broke through strongly enough for satellites to detect ash thousands of feet above the ocean. We all remember famous, terrifying underwater volcanoes, right? So is this really happening? And that is why I find this so interesting. And this is also why the scientists right now are still being careful, because right now the official wording is it's not, this is a confirmed eruption. They say possible volcanic eruption. So it's still a little bit of a mystery. And then came the part that makes this more serious. A second plume was reportedly detected later in the absolute same area. So now the question is no longer just, was this a weather cloud? A weather cloud? Do we believe that? One thing that we have to remember, small things can turn into terrifying things. Remember Hunga Tonga eruption in 2022. It started moderate and then went, we have to say, shizzy hit the fizzy, my dear friends. It went nuclear, so to speak. So the plume shot over 50 kilometers, like 37 miles into space, and then shockwaves have circled around the earth, around the globe, and tsunamis everywhere. Absolutely frightening. So nobody's saying that this is what happens here or what is happening here yet. But volcanologists are watching closely for, do we have rising plume heights? Do we have like these pumice rafts floating on the ocean? These little tiny volcanic stones that really can cover the ocean a lot, and that also can cause a lot of problems if they stick together. It's really like volcanic rocks that are swimming, that are floating. So, of course, do we have big sulfur dioxide releases that would hint at something volcanic that is a little bit more dangerous? And do we also have rapid water discoloration in that area? So Papua New Guinea itself is already a volcanic powerhouse, we have to say. I already mentioned two, Manam, Karuva, Ulavun, Rabaul. So these names have terrified the locals there for decades. And beneath the waves, this is what we have to look at right now. Dozens of systems we barely know exist. So, and if we don't surveil them, we do not have underwater cameras there, like for example off the coast of Oregon, where we're waiting for my friend, I always say Axel in German, the Axel guy, actual Seamount. This will probably be the first volcanic underwater eruption of a bigger guy that we will have on camera, hopefully. And there are sensors everywhere. But here, nothing. We don't know. It's the unknown abyss down there. So This could be our best modern look at a mysterious submarine volcano finally showing itself. Because the big question right now, I mentioned the weather cloud. Is it a weather cloud? I don't think so. Did a hidden underwater volcano just wake up in the Bismarck Sea? We're dealing with the Southwest Pacific, just north of the PNG mainland. So the Bismarck Sea itself, it sits between the north coast of Papua New Guinea and the islands of the Bismarck archipelago. So that includes islands like New Britain, New Ireland, Manus, and then these volcanic island chains around them. So this is one of the most volcanically active parts on the planet. We have to say that. So Papua New Guinea location, no surprise. Who's the culprit? We know the culprit. Pacific Ring of Fire. Small and bigger tectonic plates are colliding, they're sliding, they're spreading, they're breaking apart. Most of the Earth's big earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are happening there. So that is why that region has so many dangerous volcanoes. We have to say they're dangerous. Strong earthquakes, deep trenches, island arcs, and these mysterious underwater volcanic systems. So what makes this specific event, in my opinion, so extremely unusual, I have to say, because the possible source is not on land right now. It appears to be in the central Bismarck Sea in the ocean, below the ocean. So I gave you the reported coordinates, 3 degrees south and basically 147 degrees east, which would put the source absolutely in the open water, away from these famous island volcanoes. And that is changing the whole story of what might be happening there, because if a volcano erupts underwater, it can be very hard to confirm, of course, right? There may be no people nearby to see it. There's no crater camera. Also no village that could report the ashfall. No glowing lava visible at night, right? So we have to look instead for like satellite signals, steam, and what I mentioned, right? This coloration and all these other things that I said. Are they strange ocean surface pattern, or also are they strange waves traveling through the deep ocean, like smaller or larger tsunami waves? So that's why it is such a mystery right now. So let's talk about that ash cloud. How did they pick it up? It was initially picked up by the Himwari 9 weather satellite, and it was detected on May 12th. So the cloud was rising quite high. So 2,700 meters, that's around almost 9,000 feet above sea level. So then it began drifting northeast with a speed of around 18 kilometers per hour. That's roughly like 11 miles per hour. So yeah, that is not a huge eruption column that we can compare with major land volcanoes. But guys, listen, for a possible underwater eruption, this is very important, because for ash to reach that high coming from the sea, we're talking water. Something energetic must be happening below the surface. And of course, when magma erupts underwater, it hits the seawater. So that contact can naturally cause rapid cooling of the lava that is coming out, right? So the explosion basically can punch through the water column and send steam and ash into the atmosphere. So if the vent is deeper, the ocean pressure can suppress the eruption, and almost nothing may be visible at the surface. So if we have a visible plume like this one here, that could suggest, or it does suggest already, that the activity may be strong enough, shallow enough, and explosive enough to reach the surface. But there, of course, right now, there's still uncertainty. So the satellite signature was reportedly difficult to separate from normal weather clouds and normal steam. So that means right now, The scientists are not saying with full confidence yet that this is definitely volcanic ash, but the position, the plume, the steam-like signature, and then the report of another plume all point into a very suspicious direction, we have to say. And here's the part that I find even more interesting, because that same region already has a very strange volcanic history. We have to dive back to January 1972. But before we do, please do me a favor, like and hype this video, doesn't cost you a thing. So 1972, scientists detected unusual underwater acoustic signals in the central Bismarck Sea, so same location. So these were called SOFAR signals, SOFAR signals. These are basically deep ocean sound waves that are able to travel enormous distances through the ocean. And those signals were similar to sounds that have been recorded and produced by known submarine volcanoes. So they were recorded not only near Papua New Guinea, but even by hydrophone stations far away in the Pacific Ocean. So that means something powerful enough may have happened underwater to send sound through the ocean over huge distances. But nobody saw an eruption directly. No dramatic island appeared. No island was formed. No clear eruption footage existed. So that event in 1972 remained a suspected or acoustically detected submarine eruption. So now, more than 50 years later, a new possible ash cloud is being reported from the same broad region. So that makes it so fascinating. What is going on there? That is why this is not just a random cloud over the sea. This might be a repeat signal from a submarine volcanic system that, I have to say, almost nobody talks about or even knows about. Of course, you guys do if you are a subscriber to the channel. So please subscribe and join our group of volcanic nerds. But there's more. The name that is connected to this area in the central Bismarck Sea volcanic system, it's not famous like Tonga's Hunga Tonga volcano, right? It's not famous yet, we have to say, maybe. It's also not famous like Krakatoa. It's not even as well known as Papua New Guinea's Manam, Ulavun, or Rabaul, right? On land volcanoes. But hidden volcanic systems like this can still matter, because a lot of volcanism that is happening on this earth happens underwater. But most people only think about volcanoes that they can see. When they see the mountain, the crater, they see lava, right? They see ash falling in cities. But underneath the ocean, guys, there are volcanic ridges. There are monstrosities of mountains like Marsili in Europe. Marsili, I just recently reported about that. I'll put it in the end screen. This thing is huge. And what this thing could cause again, you have to watch this. In the Mediterranean, we have underwater seamounts, spreading centers, rift zones, mountain ranges, and submarine vents. So some, of course, stay quiet for long periods. Some erupt without anyone noticing. And sometimes the first clue is definitely not a camera. It is a satellite seeing strange plumes in the wrong place, we have to say. So specific tectonic settings, and also here in the Bismarck Sea, this specific tectonic setting makes this possible. The Bismarck Sea region is controlled basically by a complex plate motion that involves the South Bismarck plate and the nearby microplates. So this is not a simple plate boundary like Cascadia subduction zone. I mean, that is simple, but it's dangerously simple. So we do not have one giant plate that dives underneath another here. This is really a broken and very massive, active, we have to say, region. So there's fault lines, there are spreading zones, there are volcanic arcs, and then there are places where the seafloor is being pulled apart, and that's when magma can rise. So that is exactly the kind of setting where these hidden submarine volcanoes can exist. And then, if magma is finding a path upwards, the ocean might hide most of the eruption until the eruption becomes strong enough to leave a mark at the surface. Now, what is the danger, you might ask? Right now, based on what is reported, this does not look like a massive confirmed eruption. But it's important for aviation right now because ash can damage aircrafts, planes, engines. That's why right now also the VAAC Darwin is involved, the Volcanic Ash Advisory Centers. They monitor ash clouds so planes can avoid a dangerous impact. So even smaller ash can be dangerous for airplanes if they fly through it. So that's so important. For coastal communities, the risk depends on what is actually happening underwater. And we don't know that yet because, okay, even a small submarine eruption can produce that steam, discolored water, floating pumice, local hazards for boats, for example, right? Stronger shallow water eruption could produce explosive steam bursts, floating volcanic debris, and dangerous conditions near the vent. If you go there with your boat, right, you don't want to do that. If we have a very large submarine eruption, that produces sometimes tsunami risk, especially if there's a collapse like a landslide or powerful explosion happening underwater. But there's no reason right now that we would claim that this is happening, right? Or that a major tsunami is happening from this report alone. So let's not jump that far. But the event is suspicious. We have to say that. And it may be volcanic, it may be submarine, it may be connected to this poorly known volcanic field. And so the scale and the exact hazard right now are still uncertain, and that's why we have to watch it. What is this developing into? So I will watch this for you guys. I hope you found this interesting, but check out what's going on here in the end screen. Really interesting videos that I have selected for you. Don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe, and I see you in a second. Bye-bye.